Today we'll talk about logical operators. First of all, let's comment this previous code. And now, logical operators. There are mainly three types of logical operators. First is and its symbol is and%. And second is or, and its symbol is bar. And third operator is not, and its symbol is exclamation mark. Now, logical operators operate on Boolean value, which means the operand for logical operators are Boolean values. So let's use some logical operators with some Boolean values. Let's say we have two values, true and false. And let's use this logical AND operator. So here we will write and%. Now this AND logical operator returns true if both the operand is true, and it returns false if either of the operand is false. In this case, since one of the operand is false, so therefore this logical AND operator will return false. Let's see the result in console. So for that we'll write console.log, and let's put this inside round brackets. Let's put the semicolon. Now save this file and open our console. There we go, we are saying false. Let's change this to true also. Now save this, and now we are getting true. There we go. Similarly, this OR logical operator also works with two Boolean values. So let's copy this statement and paste it down here, and this time we'll use OR operator. So this OR operator returns true if any one of the operand is true, and it returns false if both of the operand is false. In this case, since both of the operand is true, so therefore it must return true. Let's save this. There we go. Now even if you change one of the value to false, it will still return true. Save this. There we go. Now let's talk about this OR operator. So let's paste this statement once more. Now, unlike this AND and OR operator, this NOT operator works on a single Boolean value. So we can remove one of the value, and we put this operator before the operand. Here the operand is true, we'll put the operator right here, exclamation mark, true. This operator returns false if it is applied to true, and it returns true if it is applied to false. Let's save this file and see. Since it is applied to true, therefore it returned false, and if we change this to false, then it will return true. Save this. There we go. Let's talk about the priority order of these operators. So in the list of priority order, these logical operators comes after comparison operator. So let's recap the order. So first we have the mathematical operator, which has the highest priority. Then we have comparison operators, which were greater than, less than, and all those things. And then after that we have these logical operators, which means if in expression there is both logical operator and comparison operator, so first the comparison operator will operate, and then this logical operator will operate. So let's see an example. Let's paste that statement, and here instead of true, let's write a comparison operator, because we know comparison operator also returns a Boolean value. So here we can write, let's say any value 34 is greater than 76. Now this is a comparison operator which checks whether 34 is greater than 76 or not, and in this case it will return false. And after this logical operator will work, which check the AND condition for true and false. So it should return false since one of the operand is false. Let's see that. There we go. Now we can even use some mathematical operator to verify whether mathematical operator have the highest priority or not. So let's do one thing. Let's apply some mathematical operator. So here let's add some values. Let's say 34 plus 23. Now this time this addition will have the highest priority, then this comparison operator, and then finally this logical operator. So here first it will compute 34 plus 23, which is 57, and then it will check whether 57 is greater than 76, which is false, and then it will apply this AND operator for true and false. So it should also return false. Let's save this. There we go. Now in JavaScript, all the values that we have learned, be it a string, a number, a boolean value, or anything, they all fall in two categories of values: truthy value and falsy value. First, truthy value and falsy values. So these truthy values behaves like true boolean value, and these falsy values behaves like false boolean values. Which means if we have these truthy values instead of these boolean values, we will still get the same result what we would get if we would have used the boolean values. So let's talk about what are these values. First, let's talk about falsy values. So in numbers, 0 is the falsy value, and then in strings, empty string is the falsy value, just the empty string with no character inside it, and then obviously a false. And then apart from these three values, we also have nan, which means not a number, and then we have undefined, and then we have a null value. So let's close this. So these are all the falsy values, and any value apart from these values is truthy value. Any number, let's say 50, 34, any string, let's say fs, obviously true, and whatever left falls in truthy value. Let's do one thing. Copy this code from here and paste it down here. And now here instead of false, let's use any falsy value. Let's use 0. Now earlier it was returning true. So if 0 is a falsy value, which means it behaves like a false. So therefore this statement must return true. Let's save this. There we go. Now if we change this from 0 to 1, then we would get a false value. Okay, here we go. Not just one, any integer value. Let's say 1546. Let's save this. Still we are getting same answer. And we can even use strings. Let's say 1456 as a string. Save this. There we go. Now let's talk about these three falsy values one by one. So first we'll talk about this nan value, which means not a number. Let's say we perform any calculation which does not result in a number. So let's write any string, and let's try to multiply the string with any number, let's say 12. Now this does not make any sense. We are using multiplication operator for a string. Therefore this result will return a nan, which is not a number. So let's print this. So we'll console it. Let's put a semicolon at the end. Save this. Now let's talk about this undefined. Now we'll get an undefined result when any variable does not have any value stored in it. Let's say we declare a variable, let a, and we do not assign any value to this variable. And this time this a does not have any value. So therefore if we try to print a now, then we'll get a undefined value. I just noticed I've mistakenly wrote the wrong spelling of undefined. Let's fix this. So it is undefined. So sorry for this error. Now let's try to print this a. So we'll console it, and then inside it we'll write a. Now save this. There we go. As we can see, we are getting undefined. Also remember one more thing, that here we have just declared a variable without assigning it any value. We can only do this with the let. We cannot do this using const. Let's say we write const and b, and we do not assign any value, then this will give us an error. If we save this, now we are getting a syntax error. It's because we cannot just declare a variable using const. So we cannot have undefined value for these variables. But if you explicitly want to store undefined to this variable, then what you can do is you can write const b is equal to undefined. Now this won't give us any error. Save this. There we go. Now if we print b, we'll get undefined. There we go. Now to create a null value, what we can do is we can simply write let c is equal to null. Now let's print this value. There we go. Although this null value is basically used to represent the absence of object, and we haven't studied object till now, so we'll talk about this later in this course. Okay, that's all for these logical operators and then these truthy and falsy values.